Hi Avanita. Yes, I cannot get any sleep. So I was like, I might as well uh, continue with my spinning adventure. Just need some time to set this up. It's always kind of annoying to, you know, stop and go, especially when you're core spinning and doing auto wrap and doing all this other kind of stuff in between. But hopefully it'll be fine. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing now, and there we go. Yeah, it wasn't a bad restart. So I have done auto wrap before where I just let it wind on any which way, and I like that look. But for some reason in this case I was like, actually I wanted a little bit more controlled, so it was just a matter of moving my fingers a certain way. I'm developing a lot of twist here. I enjoyed watching Susie Brown's and yours live uh, opening of the new wheel. What's it called again? It starts with the M. The name is slipping my mind now. Oh, thank you. It's meditative music. I like to listen to flute music. Yeah, the only thing is sometimes I develop this kinkiness in the auto wrap, which earlier I've let it pass. But yes, Magpie, that's it. Yes, I'm looking forward to the review of the wheels for, your fine yarns. I know you're pretty good. I think you give you any wheel, you'll do great on that. I'm very curious on seeing the art yarn that Susie does on it, because that's the trouble I have had with electric wheels when it comes to making art yarns. Um, because, as you can see, even out here, I keep slowing down, I keep stopping, um, and both my hands are so engaged in doing this that, like for my Hanson, I find it so hard to do art yarns on it. Yeah, because it's like even when I'm doing things like super coils and stuff, I slow down, I speed up, and you know, then I add my twists. I need like another hand to stop the wheel or slow down the wheel, and with a dial it's harder, but with my feet, if I can do it, it's easier. So I found doing art yarns on electric wheels a little harder, especially when it gets to more complex yarns. So that's I'm very curious on seeing how uh, Susie uses it. But again, I haven't had too much experience doing art yarns, so that could also be it. So give me a little bit more confidence if I see her. Like I can do simple thick and thin on my electric, that's not a problem. I can do like, spiral plies and all that. But when it comes to doing like beehives and like even auto wrap, I've done it, but core spinning, yeah. Yeah, that's what I feel that art yarns, they just have such different requirements, and so yeah, I'm very curious. And like when I have to do standard yarns and stuff, even I go for my electric and it's fine. But when I want to do art yarns, I tend to prefer my Lendrum. I mean, it's even the Hansen does have a big orifice and a pretty decent sized bobbin. That sometimes if I have added too much twist to my art yarn, I do just quickly pass it through the electric to remove the extra twist. So it's kind of pretty good for those reasons. But as such, I cannot spin the entire yarn from start to finish on it. I find that to be difficult. But you can see here, this is the way I am core spinning as well as auto wrapping. I kind of left it where I had posted the last picture this evening, and I was trying to go to bed and I couldn't. Yes, I would like to play with the Magpie, but I would, really like to play with the Aura. Remember, I was in two minds of purchasing it before I purchased this wheel. I still really like the look of the Aura, and I know we kept planning on meeting you up on your spin nights, but it needs to be planned, and it never happened. And then I just happened to be using the Lendrum for so long, and then I found a deal on it, and I said, okay, let me just get the Lendrum for now, and we'll think about the Aura. Well, it's not too hard. It is basically core spinning. So if you have done core spinning, it's not that bad. Only with and one caveat is that I have done a bit of core spinning, but I've always done it with bats, and it's a lot easier with bats than it is with a top like this. So if you're just starting with core spinning and you haven't done anything, I would highly recommend doing it with bats. But knowing you, I think you will really enjoy doing it with top because you can get it nice and crisp, which is what I wanted for this yarn. I like the bat ones as well, but for making this yarn, I wanted it to be really nice, even, uh, crisp, and I wanted like a thick, bulky. And rather than just spinning a really thick yarn, which just takes up all the fiber, I thought I'll core spin it. That way I can increase the bulk of it by just having the fiber wrap around it and not use up so much of my top. Yeah, the aura with the laser engravings and all that is also nice. I was more intrigued by the functionality of doing art yarns, and that's the reason why. So I had only the Hansen before this Lendrum, and I wanted. Like I said, I was finding it very hard to do art yarns on the Hansen, so that's the reason why I was looking for treadle wheel. And then the Aura and the Lendrum were the two wheels on my radar. And yeah, someday I think a friend of mine is looking into getting the Aura, so we'll see if that happens. I look forward. If that happens, then I'll get to try it. That is after this shutdown gets done with. So yes, and I didn't even realize it. I was just like, oh, let me auto wrap it and see it. And as soon as I saw it on the bobbin, and it was more actually after taking the picture and I was, posting on Instagram, I looked at the picture again and I went like, that actually looks like those glass bangles you get in India. And the plan is actually to super coil this yarn, so it's not finished as is. I might leave some of it as is too, but there are other plans as to what to do with this yarn. So I might leave some of it just like that. Yeah, it's amazing sometimes, it's like just unconsciously you're doing something and then you kind of realize what you have created in front of you. And the colors as well, they are actually it's after I've been experimenting with dyeing fiber and all for a while and different dyes, and means I've had good results. I've not had a problem with dye bleeds and things like that, and I've got the colors which I was expecting, but I was just not happy with them because it wasn't really the colors I wanted. I would test them, and then when I would put them, that's what I would get. And I was like, no, but I wish it had some more depth or something. This is the first time I dyed some fiber, and I was like, yes, this is what I want. This is the kind I wanted to dye, especially for this project. And it was just, it felt so right that I dyed it the same day, let it dry, and started spinning the very same day. Quick turnaround. I'm originally from India, but I currently live just south of Seattle in Federal Way, just like half an hour south of Seattle, Washington. Where are you from? I can't say your name. Cheshire Smiles. Okay, so most people can't, so it's fine. All right, forgive me. I'll just call you Smiles. How about that? You're in Alabama. So it must be even later in Alabama. Are you a spinner, knitter, fiber artist, ceramic artist? Yeah, 2 a.m. out there. You're a lot of things. That's always good. Yeah, I'm mostly a potter. I do ceramics. All my ceramics is inspired by fabrics and fiber and yarn, and I also like the fiber crafts and actually doing all these different artworks. So it's kind of a combination of everything. Yeah, I've not gotten into sewing much recently with stay-at-home orders and stuff, I've started a sewing projects, which I think I'm probably a little crazy to do and try, but it is English paper piecing. Have you done it? You ordered your first set of crochet hooks. You love ceramics. Yeah, I love ceramics too. That's my main business. I started throwing everything on the wheel when I first started to learn and sell my work, but now all my work is hand built. Have you done English paper piecing? It's a way of making quilts by cutting out these pieces of fabric and sticking them to pieces of paper like hexagons, and then you hand sew them all together into these real complex patterns. So you mostly paint. Oh, that's lovely. Painting was another thing I kind of signed up for a My Blueprint class, and I was like, oh, it's COVID time. I might as well, learn painting the way it is supposed to be taught rather than the way I paint, which is do anything you like. So I signed up. I got uh, you know all the materials and everything, but I found it so structured and everything. I was like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know. So I just kept everything aside for now. Maybe I'll get back to it. Oh, you use glitter in your paintings. Hey, Nancy. Yes, I'm live after midnight. You are. I kept looking whether you're going to be live so that I don't have to be live. So I'm on multiple platforms. I'm on Facebook as well, so I'm getting some comments from there, and on Twitch. Yeah, and that's what I usually end up doing with paint is just play around and do whatever I want with it. But it's kind of hard if you have done that for a long time, and then you have to like follow these rules and based on the color wheel and all of that. But it's fine. What are you up to, Nancy? No live feed today? Yeah, art is not really meant to follow rules, so it's fine. Just do what you like. And especially now, right? Times of COVID, stay at home. Just do what makes you happy right now. Oh, last day of drunk show. Hope it all went well. Hope it was all worth it. I know you went through a lot of work, and I can't visualize how to do it. Really. Um, but I'm glad that the people came, and I hope they bought. That's what the hope is all the time, that they buy. I need to hide that knot. That is where I made the transition. You're getting ready for bed. Alright, good night. I've been having my weird sleep schedules again, so um, have I slept? Don't ask, in the evening from I don't know what time to what time. So now I'm like, I don't feel like sleeping. I don't feel like watching television. I don't feel like knitting. So I'm here. Hi, Melanie. Well, good night. Yes, I'm really liking the way it's spinning up. I'm especially liking the auto wrap. that's what I'm doing right now. So half of the bobbin is filled with just core spinning it as is, and this one, I don't think I showed you the braid when we were chatting. Yeah, this was the one which I dyed and it was just drying outside while we were chatting on Friday. So yeah, I couldn't wait. As soon as it was dry on Friday, I started spinning it. I just loved the way it came out. For once, I got colors that I wanted, and they actually came out the way I wanted. So it was planned. And this is again not going to be the final yarn. I'm going to super coil it. Maybe some of it I'll leave as is because I'm liking it as is too. But it might have too much twist on it. So I don't know if y'all can see on camera, but can you see this tiny little thread? This thin little thread? That's the auto wrap that is wrapping around my core spun. So and it took me a while to figure out while I was auto wrapping to get the right position for the auto wrap to make it a more even auto wrap rather than all crazy auto wrap, because I've done the crazy auto wrap which I like as well, but in this yarn I just wanted to do a very precise. Oh, you can see the auto wrap. That's good. Yeah, it's kind of always hard to tell what you can see through the camera because I can see it on the big screen too that yes, the auto wrap is happening, but I know my hand positions are kind of getting off the camera. Let me see if I could just put it up a little bit more, and then you can see what my hands are doing. So if I just wanted a random auto wrap, I just drop the auto wrap thread and let it just go any which way it likes. And but what I'm doing now is, because I want it to wind very neatly around my auto wrap, my core thread is going behind my forefinger and over my middle finger and then falling down. So it creates that little bit of tension and it auto wraps more evenly rather than if I just drop it then it goes back and forth and makes like this unwild, like pretty wild auto wrap, which is also pretty nice look. And I have done that and I like that as well. So like I said, for this one I was like, no, I want it to be a little bit more even and precise. So and every time you stop, the auto wrap kind of wants to do its own thing. There we go. And I've separated my fiber, which is not a problem. Okay, there we go, back on track. Yeah, I I like, and if you haven't auto wrapped, definitely blending fibers and doing like sari silk bits and stuff. It auto wrapping really shows off the fibers so well, um, and you don't lose any of the fiber in actually the yarn because the core is actually the strength of your yarn, and the fiber, because it's so beautiful, it's just kind of like wrapping around that core and it just makes it look really nice. Evanita, I had a question regarding the Magpie. When I was looking at the unboxing, what was the? I think it was the glider, which almost looked holographic. Is it kind of like a woolly winder which moves back and forth and winds the yarn? And it was almost looking holographic. I don't know if you're even there online. Okay, they don't have an auto winder. Patent on that is not Oh, okay. Yeah, because it kind of looked like there was something in the slider which, was looking like this holographic kind of thing, and I thought that maybe that's the mechanism with which the feeder moves back and forth or something. But no. Okay. Okay. So yeah, the manual sliding. Yeah. You probably prefer manual sliding because you can do a pretty precise job without having the need of a woolly winder. Since I knew it wasn't the woolly winder, I just thought that maybe it had something in it. I'm like, oh, that is so clever. They have that inbuilt. Not that it's a requirement. I've heard people have their love hate relationship with woolly winders. Yeah. I'm sure I've asked you at one point. I've also thought that one of your hedgehogs just sits out there pushing the uh, slider back and forth very gently. I tried the woolly winder on the Hanson at one point, and I couldn't. It wasn't. Yeah. Oh, you also don't get along with the woolly winder. Yeah, I found that too. That it was pulling too much, and I had to increase the speed of the wheel so much higher. I don't know why that was. Um, So, yeah, and I like the pausing and, kind of looking at my bobbin and how nicely it's filling up and all of that. So, that part I get. And, but yeah, the woolly winder, I just, the pull and everything when it reached the end felt a little weird. And, I wasn't having a good time with it. I think if I was just flying, then maybe it would be fine. And that is the time sometimes I wish that I had something like a woolly winder, because I don't want to stop and then hold. If I'm doing, I usually do 3 ply, and then it's like managing the 3 plies and then trying to move your slider, and sometimes I lose my 3 plies and then I have to catch them all again. It's not bad, but I have to move the sliders more often too. Yeah, and that's what it is. Like, I have a friend, Keston. I don't know if you're online. Hi, Diana. But she says if she doesn't have a woolly winder, her yarn would just pile up into a big blob at one spot, because she doesn't pay attention to the bobbin, and she always forgets to move the slider. So ever since and she can't pack it well enough even if she did move it. So she likes a woolly winder that she can pack in a lot of fiber when she's spinning without paying attention. So every tool has a reason to be there and somebody to love it. So looks like everyone is staying up late tonight. It's a Saturday night online party. Yeah, and that's what I heard too, that they have to be clean, because it has all those, the spring inside and everything, and fiber gets everywhere. So they need to be cleaned to make sure that the sliders are moving properly. So I was like, I'm actually fine with moving my sliders when I want to. But yeah. All right, Avanita. Yeah, we all need to be doing stuff, but look what we are doing, right? Yes, spinning party. Late night spinning with Charan. Thank you for joining in and giving me company. Because Rima was very tired today, so she went to bed early. I was watching some television and I was just getting bored. And I tried doing some English paper piecing, and it was like my glue was reaching to the end of the stick, so it just kept falling off the tube. And I was too lazy to go up and get another new tube. I was like, I don't know. Didn't feel like doing that. Picked up my knitting project. Didn't feel like continuing. I say I really want to spin this yarn, is what I really want to do. So here I am. Anita, are you screaming there? Move your slider. I can hear you. What do you call it? Do you call it a slider? Is it called a yarn guide? I don't even know what it's called. You were, right? I heard you all the way here. I'm laughing at you. Well, I have only this much fiber left, so I'm going to finish that. And I do have more fiber, but it's amazing how much, like this entire bobbin which I'm doing, I haven't even used up 1/4 of my 4 ounce fiber yet. So it's not even an ounce of my fiber, and it's just the weight of the core. Yeah, with thicker bobbin, I'm sure you would be able to do it, Evanita. You won't have any problem. But and especially with core spinning, it kind of goes thick and thin too. And uh, the thing is that because you're just like brushing the fiber over the core, you're not using that much of your fiber, which is kind of sometimes I like because I don't want to use up all my fiber for one project. But this way I can get a nice bulky yarn and not use that much of my fiber for it. And especially if it's, a really nice bat, you really don't want to use up your bat to make a bulky yarn because bats are expensive and they are a lot of work to make, even if you do it yourself. She's already spun it and plied it on the magpie. Oh, I have to go see pictures now. That was quick. I really wonder how she spun it, whether she did auto wrapping or, just as a single, I mean, a regular two ply yarn. Okay, I'm gonna park this. And so that is it. Let me show you. Move the camera, and I can show you all the bobbin in close up. So where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Is it there? Yeah. Now it needs to focus, 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 focus. Come on, dude. Focus here. Focus here. There. Is it gonna focus? Is it gonna focus? It's such a pain to make these things focus. Come on, focus here. Focus here. Okay, let's go really close. Okay, I'm still trying to make it focus. There. There, you see? Isn't that lovely? I absolutely love this. The way it's coming out. So, all right, that was fun. Yeah, I will go ahead and have a look at what Susie has done now. And thank you, Diana. Thank you, Avanita. Thank you, Nancy. I'm glad you all enjoyed this. Uh, I still have a lot more room on this bobbin, so I am gonna prep up more fiber. I need to make thin strips of my top to do that. So I'll do that and spin the rest probably tomorrow. And then next week we'll play around. I'm going to leave some of it as singles because I'm liking the way it looks. Some of it is so there is also half the bobbin is filled without the auto wrap. So some of that will be left as singles. Some of them that is going to be done into a super coil, and the same thing I'm going to do with the auto wrap as well. And I'm also going to do a super coil with an auto wrap. Like while I'm doing a coil, I will do an auto wrap on it because I've done that before and I've really liked that look too. So, so while plying, we'll be doing an auto wrap then. So hopefully that'll be fun and you can join me then. Hey cat, you got the end. Okay. Yes. Well, I'm glad. What is the core? The core, what I'm using this, it's actually a merino yarn. It's a recycled merino yarn. That's how it is sold. It was a discount yarn, but it's so one, two, three. This is actually a 12 ply merino yarn. It's actually 6 plies of um, let me 6 plies of a 2 ply. Let me see if this will focus. I can actually show you the score. It's a very interesting core actually. Come on, please focus. Can you? Uh, it's so annoying when these cameras don't focus. Okay, there. I think it wants might focus there. It just did for a second. Okay, you see that? That's what the core looks like. So I'm spinning clockwise, yes. So it is removing the twist in it and adding twist probably in the opposite direction, but because it's this 6 2 plies which are plied again, it's doing fine. It is adding some extra twist, but I want extra twist in this because I want to ply it again. And someone had asked me on Instagram that they were having trouble with too much twist being added into their coarse spun yarn. And what I said, if you land up getting too much twist in it, leave it on the bobbin first for a while. Then when you're finishing it, my first step of finishing these yarns, if I was leaving it as a coarse spun yarn, you get it off the bobbin, it might be very twisty. So first thing is just steam it, and usually that has settled the twist for me. All the extra twist just vanishes. And not necessarily with this core, with any core I've used just regular acrylic yarn. I've used some fine 2 ply wool yarn, and it just removes all that extra twist. uh, if the steaming doesn't work, because I'm not spinning very fast on the biggest whirl, and I'm not putting too much twist in. But in case it still adds a lot of twist and you have no intentions of plying it, the next thing you can do is wash the yarn in water, and let it dry. let it rest, and that most definitely will settle all the twist in it. If that doesn't work too, I use like a just a regular iron on the steam setting. That's what I use. So if the steam doesn't settle it, do the wash, like wet the whole yarn, squeeze out the water, let it dry, just hanging. Don't put weight or anything on it, just let it dry. And for me, usually that will completely remove any extra twist. There have been a few cases where that, at least in the beginning when I was doing a lot of core spinning, there was so much twist in it that even after washing, the yarn felt a little more twisty. So then what I do is I actually then dunk it in really hot water, the yarn, and immediately in very cold water. And I know you're screaming that that's going to felt the yarn, and it does felt the yarn, but I'm not doing any agitation. What that does is it just felts the fiber along the core. And I'm still very gentle with it. I don't do a lot of agitation, and I don't let the fibers stick to themselves. So it's a very gentle movement that I do from very hot to very cold, and sometimes again I'll do it in hot and then very cold, and then I let it dry. And that might still have some twist in it. But now, what you can do after that is you can pass it through your wheel and untwist some of that yarn, and your fiber will not fall apart because it has been felted to the core. It's gonna stay there, and it will in fact floof up and become a lot softer yarn too. Like I have knit with that yarn, and it is heavenly to knit with. Yes, I'm spinning on my largest pulley size here. Yeah, and this is the Lendrum wheel, and it is the jumbo bobbin, the jumbo flyer that I'm using here. And I think the biggest ratio, I forgot, I'd written the numbers down somewhere, but yeah, it's the slowest this wheel will go. So that helps. And I also, it's a combination of few things. So one thing is you want the largest speed. I also keep the tension a little bit on the tighter side, so that you're not holding on to the yarn for very long. It's getting onto the bobbin really quick, because that is what will keep adding more twist to your yarn. And what else? There is something else. And yeah, basically how you finish it. That will all change the way twist is added into your core and things like that. So anyway, any other questions? If not, then I will go to bed. Hope you all have a good night, a good weekend, and give core spinning a try. Have any questions? Let me know, and I will chat with y'all later. Bye, everyone. Next week we'll do the spiral plying. All right.